Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in from the Batcave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
I did have a good vibe today, getting ready to do the show. Some technical difficulties may have zapped me a little bit of that, but you know what? We're still up and running for 27. We're gonna make it sound like heaven, so I'm in here. But yeah, definitely it's been a good week. I was off work yesterday, so I always love having a short week at work. So doing it pretty good today. How about you?
Doing great. Ready to rock and ready to record. Thank you for listening. This is episode 27. For the uninitiated, Cal Park Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of culture, current events, sports, life, and entertainment.
And of course, as always, we're your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we bring you a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, for more Cal Park Bros content, make sure you connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok for more behind the scenes of the Cal Park Bros show and just to engage with us every single day. But most importantly, don't forget that the podcast is available for free to listen and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
That's right, y'all. Y'all know what it is now. Make sure you're telling somebody about the Cal Park Bros because you know you love us so much. You're trying to be a faithful Cal Park Bros stalker, Cal Park Bros nerds. I actually heard somebody refer to themselves as that, so that's pretty cool. So it's awesome. Keep it up, folks. Keep it up.
Yep. Well, Jason, I think we can safely agree that we are having a better week than John Gruden had last week. Can we
Why
not?
is that, Terrence? Why is that, Terrence?
Because John Gruden got his ass fired. That's why.
Actually, he resigned, sir. He resigned.
I mean, that's kind of like in The Dark Knight when they said death or exile, and they had him walking on that thin ice out there.
Hey, they gave you a chance. They gave you a fighting chance. Well, a chance anyway. I don't know about fighting. They gave you a chance.
They ain't have a choice, dog. Choice been up. So, man. No, John Gruden. That John Gruden fired, dog. I'm referencing an article from the New York Post by Ryan Dunleavy. Raiders coach John Gruden resigns after more vulgar emails emerge. John Gruden resigned as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach after an explosive report Monday night. The New York Times revealed he used homophobic and misogynistic language in emails over a 7-year period ending in 2018. Only a few days after the first email leak called Gruden using racist language, more emails surfaced showing that Gruden mocked the drafting of the first openly gay player in the NFL, did not support the emergence of women in the NFL as officials, vulgarly used the female anatomy as an insult, and called for the release of players protesting during the national anthem, according to the New York Times. Raiders owner Mark Davis met with Gruden to accept the Super Bowl winning coach's resignation. Yeah, he fired him. Assistant coach Rich Biasa will take over as interim head coach, the team announced. I love the Raiders and do not want to be a distraction, Gruden said in a statement released by the team. Thank you to all the players, coaches, staff, and fans of Raider Nation. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone. Gruden's emails from as far back as 2011 were sent to then Washington football team president Bruce Allen and others while he worked for ESPN as a Monday Night Football analyst and NFL draft quarterback guru. Gruden amassed a 10-year, $100 million contract with the Raiders in 2018. That's still insane to me that he finessed them into that money. Gruden's homophobic language included calling NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell a faggot, and that's in quotations, by the way. I feel like we need to say it so that we actually understand the stakes here. Who should not have pressured then Rams coach Jeff Fisher into drafting, in quotations, queers, according to the report. The Rams openly gave Michael Sam a 7th-round draft pick in 2014. While Sam's career with the Rams was short-lived, The Raiders called Nassib became the first openly gay active player to appear in the regular season just this year. In what now rings like a phony soundbite of support, Gruden told the Las Vegas Journal-Review after Nassib revealed his sexual orientation in June that he learned a long time ago what makes a man different is just what makes him great. I don't mean to read all this. Actually, I feel like I need to because this is a lot. Jason, this is a lot. This is not cancel culture. This dude had his offensive resume is damn near as long as his NFL win resume. We didn't even get to the DeMaurice Smith, executive director of the NFL Players Association. Calling DeMaurice Smith has lips the size of Michelin tires. I mean, we keep going, but I feel like we've covered a good chunk of it.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, he pretty much said, quote unquote, offensive things when it comes to a black person, gay people, women. I kind of feel like that's pretty much the gambit of stuff that's going to get you, even though you don't want to use this term, it's going to get you canceled pretty much in this 2021 climate, is what it is. But yeah, so it's funny. What stood out to me when I was kind of reading through this stuff today is that in the article you just read said the emails ranged from 2011 to 2018, and conveniently enough, 2018 was his first season with his, well, I was going to say current job, but it was his first season with the Raiders. So it's kind of curious that all this stuff happened while he was not an employee of any NFL team or the NFL. But yet it came back to bite him once he did become NFL employee, or sort of NFL employee, and how it was all discovered was something that had nothing to do with him in the first place. So it's pretty interesting when it comes to that. But yeah, it's pretty much, Raiders had no choice but to force him to make that decision. Hey, it's either resign or get fired. Probably. Obviously, we don't know that was what the option was, but I have my guess, like you said, that he probably was given the option of, okay, we're going to either have to fire you or you're going to have to resign. Make your choice. And obviously, like you said, last week he chose to resign, which is what it is. And effectively enough, Chucky's dead. Even though Chucky has a new show on the USA Network, this Chucky is now dead. And no, folks, no one has killed him. I mean, his career is probably done at this point.
He's just retired. Like he's not on that Jay-Z fake retirement or even that Urban Meyer fake retirement. No, dog. He's not coming back from this. He's literally going to have to stay home and be a family man now.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about it when it comes to his coaching career, but even his analyst career is basically over now too. I mean, all of that ESPN stuff that he was glorified for before he got the Raiders job, that's done. He's never getting back to that level. No one's going to hire him. ESPN's definitely not. Fox Sports, no matter who it is, he's done.
Fox Sports might.
You can't. Well, you can't.
Fox Sports might. They'll hire anybody.
Well, but yeah, you pretty much can't even bring him in for a guest spot now because he's ruined. He ruined himself though. It's all him. So, but I know people want to bring up a couple of things when it comes to people's reactions to this, like, oh, how can they do this to him? He wasn't an employee of the NFL at the time, blah, blah, blah. To address that, like I said, that's very true. He was not. But the fact of the matter is that's still a reflection of the team that he's with, the Raiders, and indirectly also the NFL. So, yeah, of course, they're going to take action because, yeah, this all happened before you got here. But this is still a reflection of us because you work in the public eye, right? And unfortunately, sometimes we work in the public eye, public opinions matter. And we're going to talk about this again in the second segment, folks. But yeah, so that's that. And then, of course, you have other people wanting to chime in saying, oh, cancel culture is taking over. And it's like, okay, despite anybody's opinion of cancel culture, including yours, the fact of the matter is it seems like people are willing to throw that out there saying, hey, the snowflakes are winning or cancel culture is winning, whatever. What about putting the responsibility on John Gruden? Even though it was, 10 years ago, he still said these things or typed these things, correct? And please explain to me any kind of professional environment, whether you work for the company or not, where somebody's going to be able to get away with that when you get in a position where somebody can punish you for it, right? So it's just like if I send an email to you through your email chain to your work email saying some stuff like this, and all of a sudden I come start working at your job, and it gets revealed that I said this stuff to you in email, what is going to happen? It's going to be the same thing. So yeah, I think people need to sit back and realize, okay, you might have your opinions about cancel culture and snowflakes or whatever you want to call it, but he still typed this stuff. And if you have a problem with it, I dare anyone else to do the same thing at work. Type these same things at your job and see what happens to you. It's going to be the same thing, same result, if not worse. So
Yeah, he might have been able to get away with this shit if he was on an episode of Mad Men. That's about it.
yeah, I mean, I do find it interesting though a little bit that the second set of information that came out when it comes to what he said about women and gays and whatnot, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, okay, we're cool with you saying this stuff about our NFLPA president, who happens to be a black man. You can apologize for that and keep your job. We won't suspend you, nothing like that. But you say some stuff about women and gay folks, then all of a sudden, gotta let you go, dog. Gotta let you go. And maybe it was a compound of all that, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I
But
think it
why?
is, Jason. I think
But
it's
why?
like a compounding interest type of situation. Like it's almost like you got to chop it up into sections, and I'm just like, damn, this is a lot. Like
It is.
going in about, I mean, what he said objectively, racist as fuck, sexist as fuck, transphobic as fuck.
Every phobic you can think of.
Like one of those three would be enough.
But yet it wasn't.
I think one of those three would be enough. And had it been anybody else, because the reality is that there's a reason why John Gruden got that $100 million contract, because he is one of the biggest names in the game.
Agreed.
Even though I personally felt he was a little long in the tooth.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where like the Titanic hadn't been taking on just enough water just yet. But once that second tidal wave of water came through, I was like, oh, girl, you in danger. Because here's what I believe. I really believe that, this is just my opinion, I really believe Mark Davis didn't want to fire him.
Why do you feel that way?
Because John Gruden isn't the exception in the NFL. He's representative of being the standard bearer in the NFL. You don't think that Michael Sam not really getting a fair shot has any correlation to the fact that a guy like him, probably a guy like Gruden, wanted nothing to do with a guy like Michael Sam in the first damn place? I mean, the shit's starting to add up now. There are a lot of people that feel like Michael Sam never really got a fair shot in the NFL because he was openly gay from the jump. And then I think Carl Nassib probably looked at that shit and was like, I would like to play in this league. I can play in this league, but I can objectively see that there will be barriers for me to actually make a living in this league if I come out now. Again, we're talking my opinion. You're welcome to disagree with it. Listeners of the show, welcome to disagree with it. But magically, a lot of this shit is adding up. You got a truthfully, objectively intolerant man running alongside owners, hobnobbing with owners for the last 20 fucking years. You're gonna sit here and tell me he doesn't have a say about who gets to play and who doesn't get to play. Other icons like Jeff Fisher, for crying out loud. So to me, the outrage is justified. But you can't just put that outrage on one person. Your outrage should be at the infrastructure. Infrastructure created John Gruden. Infrastructure still stands after John Gruden is gone. That's why I'm saying we need to still stay on people's asses about this. Because just because John Gruden had to fall on the sword, hell, there are a multitude of captains in industry within the National Football League that are upholding these same beliefs. We just don't have their emails. We may never get their emails, but they are still calling the shots. And that's why I'm saying this matters.
Yeah, apparently John Gruden's probably wishing that he went to the Hillary Clinton camp when it comes to handling emails. So, but he did not. So I digress. But yeah, hopefully you keep that same energy, because I'm really thinking all this stuff is really going to be very applicable to our second topic, folks. I know I said that a couple of times, but I'm really starting to see that and feel that. But when it comes to Chucky, yeah, I mean, now when you mentioned Michael Sam, before going into that, you mentioned Michael Sam. I'm not going to disagree with your thoughts of he might not have gotten a fair shake because he came out beforehand. Maybe. I like to think, well, maybe, perhaps not. But with Michael Sam, I was in the Cardinal Steve. I feel like there was a little bit of that talent also as well. Just because. Now, again, not saying there wasn't partially because of him being in the fully out player before that. Could have been partially, but yeah, I agree with you that when it comes to Chucky, again, his cancellation wasn't really, it was his own doing. Infrastructure may have been a part of the problem, but where does that infrastructure stop? Does it just stop with the Raiders? Does it stop with the NFL? Does it stop with society in general? I'm almost to the point willing to say it starts with society in general. Because again, there are plenty of people, probably maybe perhaps keyboard warriors, they again are not siding with Gruden per se, but more deflecting when it comes to saying the problem isn't Gruden, the problem is, again, cancel culture and all stuff like that. Well, they're partially correct. Yeah, I think society is a problem. Society is a problem that says some of the stuff that he said is still okay. It's kind of like certain people just never grew up. Because let's be honest here, there's certain things that you and I probably said when we were younger that might have been a little bit offensive looking at it now as an adult if we were to say it to somebody else. Because kids, let's be honest, kids are ignorant. I'm not talking about like 5 and 6 years old. I'm talking about more like middle school time, or maybe a little bit younger when you're kind of young and stupid, trying to be cool, don't know what's cool, don't know what's really, stuff like that. I'm sure we've all said some things that we probably shouldn't have. Okay. But some people still say those things even though they're full grown adults. And then case in point, this guy right here.
I mean, John Gruden is 58 years old, so
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying though. That part of, but okay, but who's to say, like you just said, with the people in the NFL, people and also people outside of it who are his same age that still use those same terms, either amongst their friends, family, relatives, buddies, whatever, or in public forums like emails or social media, and think it's okay because of snowflake this, cancel culture that, this how I was raised, whatever.
I mean, another thing I was thinking about, they probably had a symposium on all the rookies on here's what not to say in electronic communication.
Don't press send. Like Herman was used to say, don't press send. That it's 3 simple words, but in today's society it means so much, and that's good advice that everybody should take, whether you're an NFL player, coach, athlete, whatever. Don't press send. Think about it, because as we know now, as we see from this, what you put out there is out there forever. It's in the universe, the electronic verse, whatever you want to call it. You can hit delete on the email or whatever, but guess what? It's still out there. It ain't going to go away. So, again, I know I mentioned this maybe the last 2 episodes, but guess what? It's still relevant. Use this to check you. Use Chucky as an example. Don't press send.
Don't use Chucky as an example, because dude was doing all this shit thinking he was never that these emails were never going to see the light of day
That's the point.
because of who he was.
Well, I don't think it's because of who he was. It just that's what all idiots think. Period, including people like you and me and Joe Schmo.
No, because John Gruden actually had tangible power. That's what separates random Joe Schmo from John Gruden. John Gruden was king shit in football. So there, I mean, he literally was ordained as king shit, the quarterback guru. It was kind of a little sickening. And I know that's going to come off like, oh, well, now you're going to kick a man while he's down. I'm like, listen, I objectively did not like that shit. All of that, film room bullshit that was being, promoted to me the last 10 plus years. Okay. It's
You sound
okay
like
for
a
me
hater
not to
right now,
like it.
bro. You sound
It's
like a
okay.
hater right now.
Well, so be it. So be it. I'll be at the player haters ball. Damn
Well,
it.
you're not. Oh, you're not at that level yet. You're not
Yeah.
at that level. You're not out there with Suki Johnson. You gotta back off a little bit, okay?
Right. Yeah, man. I thought a lot of it was just overkill. And they beat it to fucking death anyway. So I get it. Offensive guru,
People
apparently
want to see it.
great quarterback builder, if it were. I mean, hell, did wonders with Rich Gannon, but not wonders with his email server.
Like I said, don't press send.
Yeah.
Like no one can escape that. Like I said, what you put out there, whether it be text, email, social media stuff, guess what? You can once you hit send, it's out there. Deleting it's not going to do any good. Somebody can still have access to that. It can still resurface, like we see all the time, right? Somebody gets hit up for some deleted tweets because somebody screenshotted it before you deleted it. And now they have it, or just any tech guru can find that stuff. Whatever, it's there. It's out there. So that's no. I don't think that has anything to do with his power. That applies to anybody. Yeah, maybe his ego said, "Hey, I'm good here." These are not necessarily that these are going to come to the light of the day, but he might have felt like he might have had some protection because of he's Chucky, he's Gruden, he's the quarterback guru, whatever. Well, that might have been pretty stupid too, but yeah, but yeah, we're going to be moving on from this. We are, he's not, but yeah, I think if nothing else too. I mentioned it's going to serve as a lesson, but I think it should serve as a lesson to anybody within those NFL walls, like you said, with the infrastructure to say, hey, maybe maybe we need to check ourselves when it comes to communication we put out there, or even if it's not on email, what we say to people, even when it's just amongst the boys on the field. Check that stuff. Because let's be real here. Obviously, the one you mentioned the F word that he used when it comes to referencing gay people.
You can't even say it. That's how offensive it is.
Because I had no intention of saying it. Number one, you can't.
Right, but I feel like people need to know.
Well,
why? Like if he said nigger,
okay.
Why? That's my point. Like these words are offensive, and I say them out loud, and I say them contextually so that you know how horrible they are. Not you, but I'm saying to our fans, our listeners, guys, and I'm not saying he said that, but he did tell a black person that they have exceptionally large lips, and sometimes you can call me a nigger without actually saying it. FYI.
Listen, so yeah, I have no problem with you saying it for your context because again, it's quoting what he said. I didn't feel the need to repeat it because I'm not trying to glorify it. But my point that I was going into with that was the fact of the matter is, I shouldn't speak for you saying that you said this, but I guarantee you've heard people say this either when you're in college, high school, middle school, whatever, guys or even girls using the F word just casually, right? So, well, actually, let me ask you: you've either said or heard this yourself, correct? In your youth years, correct?
I mean, I don't
Or
even
hell,
want to talk.
even as an adult.
I don't even want to talk about my youth years because we talking about a motherfucker that's 58. He's
But I
old
go,
enough to know better. The
I
end.
agree, I agree, I agree. But what I'm saying is, there are adults, i.e., still using that term and other things like it in person with other people of their same age. So they're still saying it. But that's my point. The reason why I use you as a youth example because I'm sure you're not around that now. So if I ask you, have you heard of that now as an adult? You're probably going to say no. But I guarantee you did hear it as a kid. And there are still adults using that same vernacular right now casually, even though they claim it might not be representative or being trying to be derogatory towards gay people. It doesn't matter. The word still has meaning no matter how you use it. Period.
And the words have relevancy even if you don't use those words. You know, it's interesting to me that so many former black players immediately, almost reflexively, came to the defense of John Gruden.
I didn't see this.
Um, and I'm not really judging them because I do feel there is something reflexively when you feel compelled to defend somebody, especially if you don't know the whole story. We see this phenomenon when someone is accused of sexual assault and we say, well, that's just not the person that he is. I'm like, you weren't in there in that fucking room. So how would you know? You weren't on the distro. The fuck do you know? It's a reflex. So I do find it interesting that that people immediately started drawing ranks, started closing ranks and say, okay, this is our guy. We got to protect him, even though they didn't have all the information.
I feel like that's a natural reaction, though. Not necessarily just from a player coach perspective. It's even more from your natural defense is to defend somebody until you can't defend them anymore, right? So, not to get you in trouble and not to get into specifics here,
What?
but hey, relax, calm down. We're good. We're gonna be good here. But I'll leave it even in general. I'm sure there are plenty of married individuals who will, rightfully so, defend their spouse at the smallest sign of them, messing up, screwing up, effing up, right? But that's only going to take you so far when it comes to, okay, like you said, the full story. If I'm a player of Chucky's after the first story, okay, you probably shouldn't have said that, but you can kind of at least publicly blow it off. Like, okay, not a big deal, guys. We're going to back him. He made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Then the second, emails were released or whatnot. And then it's like, oh, so now he's offending this group, and this group. Like, oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and back way in the shadows and go back to practice and stop talking about this dude because I'm separating myself from them. Now, so that's what I was kind of going into is like, no matter what, there's always going to be a certain level of I'm going to defend this person because out of some sort of loyalty, we'll say. But at some point, that loyalty is going to break unless you're just a true hardcore. That's my boy. No matter what, I got your back. Well, I'm sure his players ain't gonna be like that after all this because again, they have their own public images to worry about as well. Now, yeah, so I think it's natural for them, some of the players, not all, to want to defend him. Yeah, it might seem a little weird for the black players to defend him after the whole DeMaurice Smith stuff came out. But again, after all this stuff, like you said earlier, it's a compounding of it all. It compounded too much like, well, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I tried to help you out, bro, but I'm done now. So
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, especially in the court of public opinion, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the arena of sports.
those people are even though this is probably isn't a good thing, those individuals who are athletes, no matter what the sport, are looked at as role models. People look up to them, whether it be kids, some adults, maybe sadly, but yeah, it's something they all have to worry about, and I shouldn't say they have to worry about it. It's something they're going to worry about because that's how you're going to make your money, partially. So yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that concludes our first segment on the demise of Chucky, who apparently does have a racist bone in his body.
Maybe it's just some ligaments and tendons, but he got something in there.
Yeah. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about somebody else who's also pissed off a lot of people. Dave Chappelle. Coming up next on Cow Park Bros.